Alright, what's up, chat? What's up, stream? Today is going to be a nice stream. Oh my. Yesterday I didn't stream. I know. I didn't. But damn, I feel bad that I didn't stream. But we're back today. So that's that. Let me know if the audio is good though. I want to see if it actually sounds good. Let me pause my. But is going to be a nice stream. Okay, so the audio is just fine. Right. So today's stream, we're going to be continuing with our meme. Is it the meme thing? I'm not too sure. But we'll just see in a second. Yesterday, wasn't able to stream because of other activities I had. And yeah, that happened. But today we're here streaming. We got time. So, right. So what I want to do first of all is change the title of this stream. I've been working a lot with Gemini to help me out in learning how I should like structure myself. And as you can not see, okay, didn't update. Okay, so I was working with Gemini to help me out, and it's been going pretty well. Gemini's honestly been helping me a lot, so that's that. Right, so today we're here at class list and slash remove. The same email. So yeah. Okay. I need okay, because it told me a long time ago. How should what title if you agree on button what's the stream? Alright, this one's good. So that's not because people in mobile can't see anything, so I figured this would be a better way. But me and Gemini figured that. And that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna come here, paste that in. Building meme. Did a meme app? Yeah. So today's probably day 13. Yep, it is. I mean, yeah, day 13. Day 13, full stack journey. Okay, and also, I generated a description, but it seems to not be here. So I think I'll just grab that real quick. Right, there it is. This is what I generated. Screenpad has no tags? Guess not. It's all good though. Okay. Restrictions none. Visibility public. CachyOS X KDE. Twitter. I haven't yet put my LinkedIn in because I don't know what it looks like, so I don't want to just put it out there. Is that? Is that it? That's it. Okay. We just have to save this and we'll be good to go. All right, save. So if we go back to stream, why did I go back to being connect? It's okay. Just go back from here. Let's refresh that. All right, now it's good. I thought, oh, they didn't verify me yet. They were supposed to verify me on the link so you guys can just click them instead of just copying and pasting. But it didn't, so I need to check up on that. I wonder if they send me an email. Oh, dear my. You guys have had a wonderful day. Oh, yeah. That's just the vibe. Okay. Okay. Just go primary. Let's go YouTube. Did I already do this? It's alright. They will verify me when they want to. Alright. So that's that. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh. Alright. Let's get started on this.
Let's take a look at how we can add or remove a class from an Elements class list. Over here, I'm building a messaging app which I'm using to keep in touch with all of my top friends, like the Queen and James Bond. Now, at the moment, everything's working just fine, the messages are coming through, but I've got one problem. There's no way of telling at a glance whether or not I've already seen a message. What I'm looking for is this. I want to be able to come in here, click on a message, and for that message to change color. So let's think about how we can do that, and let's start by having a look at the code that we've already got. So in index.html, each of these individual messages is contained in...
Forgot about posting something on Twitter. So just do that real quick. Oh no, we can just share it from here. We don't have to go to YouTube. Let's see, how many views did this get? 3, 8. They're going up. Yeah, I already guess they should be at 11 by now. What we actually need to do is go to the YouTube. Okay, just gonna like it real quick. All right, so the intro. What's up, guys? It's day 13 of coding every day until I can build a full stack application. So today's stream, same as yesterday, we're finishing up on finishing this meme app. Yeah, hopefully we can get it done by today. If not, we'll just take a day at a time at this point in order to prevent burnout. But yeah.
In a div, and each of those divs has got 3 child elements. So the first child has got the name of the sender, the second child has got the actual message, and the last child has got the date of the message. And each of these elements have got their own unique ID. Now the parent element that's containing the message has got this class of unread. And if we have a look over at index.css, we've got this unread selector right here, and that is giving us a font weight of 800 and specific border and background colors. And it's this class that's styling the unread messages, like this one from Stevie Wonder. He just wrote to say he loves me. He normally calls to say that. This time he decided to write. That's absolutely fine. Now, also in the CSS, we've got this selector for a class red, and red is what's giving us the styling on this message that I have already seen, this one from Arnie that says "Hasta la vista, baby." So let's go ahead and figure out how we can apply this style to any message that gets clicked. So over in index.js, I've set up an event listener on the document. So that is listening out for clicks anywhere on the page. And when it detects a click, it's going to fire this function, and I'm already taking in the event as a parameter. So why don't we go ahead and just log out the ID of the clicked element. So I'm going to use a console.log, and I'll log out the event or e.target.id. Let's hit save. And now when I click on a message, down in the console, I see message text 1, and that will work for any message. And of course, we can get the unique ID from the name element or the date element. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and take control of the clicked element and then add this class of red to its class list. So instead of logging this out, we can use document.getElementById. This is the ID of the element we want to target. And now if I move the mini browser out of the way, we can access its class list, and then we can use the add method. And we just need to tell add the name of the class list we want to add. So we are going for red. Now let's click save, and I'll come in and just click on this message from Stevie Wonder. And there we are, it's sort of working. I can click on a name or a date, and we're applying some styles to whatever I click on. Now, it's not exactly what we want, because what we want is for the whole element to change color. And to do that, we need to be applying the class list not to this individual child element, for example, this date, but the parent element. So we can come back to index.js then, and right in here, I'm going to say .parent element. Now I'll hit save, and I'll click this time on Arnie, and there we are, we're managing to highlight the whole message. And we can do that for each of the messages as we read them. Okay, that's really cool, but we have still got a bit of a problem. Over in index.css, we can see that we have got these two classes, unread and read. Now, in index.html, every parent element of a message has got the class of unread. So when we actually click on a message, what we're doing is updating this class list and adding to it. So now I've clicked on Stevie Wonder, this div right here is going to have the classes of message, which is the generic one for all messages, unread, and we've just added red. Now that could be a problem, because what would happen if a colleague came to our CSS and decided to refactor it or tidy up a little bit, and they actually changed the order of these classes so that now red comes before unread? Well, that's going to cause us a big problem, because this div has got both of those classes, read and unread, and they cover exactly the same properties. The one lowest down the page is going to win. Let's just see what happens if we go back to index.js and save. Now, I'll come and click on the Queen's message, and nothing happens. We've broken the app because this CSS selector at the bottom is the one that's winning through. Now, I don't really want to rely on the order of our CSS more than I have to, so let's find a solution to this with JavaScript. And if we come back to index.js, I am going to type you out a mini challenge. Okay, so here is your mini challenge. We can solve this problem by removing the class of unread from the class list. So that's your challenge. I want you to remove the unread class from the parent element of the clicked element. Now, if you're looking at that and thinking, wait there, you've shown us how to add an element, but you haven't shown us how to remove an element, well, don't worry, because these are really logically named. We've used add to add an element. Which word do you think we're going to use to remove an element? Honestly, this challenge is going to take you about 10 seconds because we've basically done all of the work we need to do. So pause now, get this sorted out, and I'll see you back here in just a few moments.
All right. It should be less than 10 seconds. Maybe not.
Okay, so hopefully you got that working just fine. So all I'm going to do is copy that line of code. As I said, we've basically done all of the work. I'm going to swap out the word add for the word remove. We added a class here, we're going to remove one here. And the class that we want to remove is not read, but unread. Let's hit save. Now I'll click on the Queen's message, and there we are. We've got it working again. So that is really cool. We've added a class to a class list and we've removed a class from a class list. Now we do have a bit of a shortcoming here, which is that if I click inside this app, but not specifically on a message, let's just say I click up here where it says messages, well, we get an error. And if we look over at index.html, well, I clicked on this element right here, and what we're doing with that click is we're looking for the ID of the click and then accessing the parent element. Well, that element doesn't have an ID, so that is why we throw an error there. Now, this demonstration is very simplistic. I just wanted to show you the add and remove properties. In the real world, we'd want to take all of this code, wrap it probably in an if, and actually check where this click came from. And then we could decide, is it a click that we want to execute this code on or not? If it's not, we could just ignore it rather than get the error we're getting now. Okay, I just wanted to tidy this up. We are going to use add and remove back in our project. So when you're ready, let's move on.
Oh, okay. Next lesson. Add color to the selected emotion.
We need to look at how we can actually change the style of the option that has been selected. What we're aiming for is this. We want this deep shade of red on the selected input radio. Now, when we've achieved that, we're actually going to take things to the next level, and we're going to highlight not just the input radio, but also the label. So the text is going to get a bolder font, the background color will turn to this light pink, and the text color will actually match the same shade of red as we're using in the input radio. But our first aim is just to target the color of the input radio. Now, we could do that right here in this event.
By the way, if you go on over to your local browser, on the search bar, type github.com/coding with fabs. You can see it's updated, boys. It's updated. It looks cleaner. It looks beautiful. Oh, I love this. It just looks so clean. It looks just so clean. But yeah, you know, I'm promoting this number here. So yeah, guys, be sure to check it out. It's amazing. It's so good. But I don't have my link chat. I don't know what that looks like, so I need to first check on my link first. But yeah, what else do we have here? Email, YouTube, Twitter. Okay. Yeah. Before we continue, Go to your browser again, https://scrimba.com/coding with Babs gives you 20% off from any course you want to take. They have all the courses that you would want to do related to coding, JavaScript, backend, HTML, CSS, Python, AI engineering, data structures and algorithms, SQL, TypeScript, Node.js, Next.js, Superbase, Advanced React, Advanced JavaScript, anything, bro, anything you want, anything. They have a long list. So they have pro courses, just this right here, the Fullstack development path is a pro course, and they have free courses right here. So, 13 modules, 15 hours, React, which is not bad. It's actually good considering it's a free course, bro. So you don't really have to subscribe, but that would, bro, if you want to go full in, I'd consider subscribing. Yeah, as I said again, I'm gonna keep it in chat. 20% off. https://scrimba.com/coding with Babs. Boom. So be sure to check them out. Amazing people, amazing community, amazing support. Just in general, amazing. I can't even lie. Back to the stream.
Listener, but I think when we end up with quite a lot of logic inside these anonymous functions that go with event listeners, the whole thing starts to get quite bloated and it actually becomes quite difficult to read. It's going to be easier if we set up a new function and just have this event listener call the function. Of course, event listeners don't need to use anonymous inline functions like this. So let's come down here. I'm going to set up a new function and I'm going to call it highlight checked option. And I've chosen that name because it's descriptive as to what that function does. The function will be in charge of actually putting the highlight on the selected option eventually, so it looks like that. Now, I'm actually going to cut most of the business logic, if I can call it that. It's just that console.log, and I'm going to paste it down here. So now highlight checked option takes in the event as a parameter, and it's logging out the ID of the clicked element. All we need to do is make sure that the event listener is going to call this function. So we'll put that function right there. We don't want to put the brackets on the end like that. That will cause us problems by immediately invoking the function. Instead, we just want the function name. Okay, let's just check to make sure this is working. So I'll hit save and I'll click on Moody, and there we are. We're logging out the ID of the elements that we're clicking. So that is great. So now it's time for a challenge, and I'm actually just going to move this challenge inside the function because this is where I want you to be writing logic. So your challenge is this. Highlight checked option should take control of the selected radio input. So we've got the ID of that radio input right here, and it should add the CSS class of highlight to its class list. Now, if we just have a quick look at the CSS, well, here is the selector for highlight, and I just want to draw your attention to this property right here, accent color. You likely haven't come across this before. This is the CSS property that actually controls the color that we see in this input radio. At the moment, we've got the default blue, and we're aiming for this shade of red, and that shade of red is this hex code right here. Okay, pause now, get this challenge sorted out, and I'll see you back here in just a minute.
All right. Highlight checked option should take control of the selected radio input and add the CSS class of highlight to its class list. So come to the CSS, you can see the highlight right here. So document right here, document.get element by ID. Is it a parent? You know what? Who? So dot parent element dot class list dot add. How am I remembering all this? I don't even know. Classes add highlight. Let's just copy and paste it, just so that we don't mess it up. So highlight, boom, boom. Yeah, let's go. You're adding the highlight to the parent div instead of the radio input. How can you add the... So let's remove this. And let's refresh this. But I mean, not done, bro. Like, I just did the whole thing. Not a bad thing.
Element by. Then we want to act. I'm going to delete just on the input radio, but also on the label. Now, if we have a look down at our HTML string, well, this is the ID that we're targeting at the moment, and it's the ID of the input with the type of radio. Now, if we want to put it also on the label, the easiest thing to do then will be to raise it up a level and put it on this parent div, the one with the class of radio. Now, we can't target this div directly because it doesn't have an ID, but as you already know, that is no problem. So bear with me 1 second while I get you a mini challenge. Okay, so here is your challenge. I want you to change the code right here in line 8, so we add the highlight class to the parent of the selected input radio. Pause now, get that sorted, and I'll see you back here in just a minute. Okay, wait, this is a long line of code and I just want to make sure you can see it all label. So that is of the radio input moves with us, but the highlight class stays on the previous option as well as appearing on the new option. And in fact, we can just go through and we can select everything. And that is obviously not what we want. Now, in order to solve this problem, we need to look at a DOM method called getElementsByClassName. So we'll come on to that in the next scrim. When you're ready, I'll see you there. Okay, let's take a look at how we can take control of all elements with a given class with just this one line of code, getElementsByClassName. And the most frustrating thing here is to remember this S. We're so used to writing getElementById that we can forget that this one is a plural because we're selecting multiple elements with the same class name. Right, back in my weird product cards, when I click Buy Now, the whole product card is grayed out and the green border disappears. I've also added this Clear All button, and what I want that to do is to return these to their original state as if Buy Now had not been clicked. So they'll have their green border and they won't be grayed out. So let's have a quick look at how we can do that. Now, this Clear All button here, I've taken control of it and I've put an event listener on it already. So inside this event listener, I'm going to set up a new const and I'm going to call it products array. And I'm going to set that equals then to document.getElementsByClassName, remembering this S. And the name we're looking out for, if we have a look up at this HTML string, each one has a class of product. So let's just put that right in there. Now, before we do anything else, I just want to log out products array and see exactly what it is. But now when I hit Clear All, let's just open up the console. And what we can see is we've got this thing called an HTML collection. Now, an HTML collection is not exactly an array, but it is an array-like object. So it's very, very similar to the arrays we've been working with, and we can iterate through it as if it were a normal array. So for now, it's fine to think of it as being an array. You might want to do some Googling around that a little bit later. Now, I have gone ahead and called it products array, and that is a
An HTML collection is an array-like collection list of HTML elements. The elements in a collection can be accessed by indexes. Index starts at 0. Okay. Node list. It's the same thing. Almost the same, right? They're basically the same. A HTML collection is an array-like collection list of HTML. Hey, bro.
Bit of a simplification, but we're going to stick with that for now. Let's get rid of this console.log then. And as I said, we can iterate through this HTML collection, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to say for let product of products array, and then inside the body of this for of, we are going to access each product, and for each product I want to access the class list, and I want to remove. But what do I want to remove? If we have a look at the CSS, the grayed out appearance is actually created by this selector here, purchased. So let's take that one and remove it right here. Now when I click save, I can click buy now, buy now, buy now. And then when I hit clear all, there we are. The opacity goes back to normal. We haven't got the green border back, but that is part of the challenge that you're going to be looking at next. So let me just close this mini browser. I'm going to take this challenge and I'm just going to cut it and paste it inside this function. Now, I'm actually going to delete most of the code that I just wrote. So I'm going to take away this for of and this line of code right here, and I'm going to take it right back down to just where we declared this const products array. So your challenge is basically to redo what I just did and then add a little bit more to deal with the green border. So I want you to finish setting up this array of elements with the product class. So that's the bit that I just did. And then as you iterate over this array, remove the purchase class, which we just did, and then add the on-offer class. And the on-offer class is this one that just gives that lime green border. Okay, go ahead, knock this one out of the park, and I'll see you back here in just a moment.
Let's get our hands dirty. Okay, finish setting up this array of elements with the product class. Alright. What class are we looking for? Purchase, I think. Let's see. So we need to do document. Oops. Get class element by class element capacity. Then we need to do the product. The product. The product or the purchase. I think it's the product. Yeah, it is. Product. Okay. For of. How do you do a for of loop? I forgot. What is this? Curling 2026. This is the. Yeah, this is that sport. Yo. Sport low-key. It looks fun. Interesting. Okay, there we go. So you don't say, you just say for. That product. Do you see that product's in? Oh. That's product. No? products array and remove the purchase class and add what do you use? Look at it.
Then as you iterate over this, now when I click save, I can grayed out appearance is actually created by this selector here, purchased. So there we are. The opacity goes back and move it right.
So the products, that product of products array, product. Oh, you call the, why then, bro, what's up with me? Product.classes start remove purchased.
Save, I can click buy now to be
and then you do
take it right back down.
Okay. So you need to call on the variable that you just declared, product.class classless dot remove purchase, yeah, and add the on offer ones. Product dot class list dot add on offer. To close the class, you need to remove is purchased, not purchased. Okay.
To just when you want it to then access its class list on offer. Now let's hit save. Multiple elements.
Okay. Move the highlight class.
Okay, so we know we have problems here because all of these options are staying highlighted even when we select another option. Now the best way to deal with this is to make sure that when a change is detected and highlight checked option is called, this function removes all instances of the highlight class from all of these radio inputs parent elements and then reassigns the highlight class to only the one that has been selected. So that is what your challenge is going to be. I want you to create an array of all of the items that have the radio class. Iterate over the array and remove the highlight class from each one. And again, I've called this an array. It's actually an HTML collection, which behaves very much like an array. Okay, this is not such a big challenge, but it is quite fiddly. Take your time, make sure you get it right, and when you're ready, we'll have a look together in just a few minutes.
All right. Create an array of all items that have the radio class. Const radio class items. Post document get element by class name. Radio. Iterate over the array and remove the highlights. Iterate over the array and remove the highlight class from each one. So for radio, or let's radio radio item radio dot class list dot remove okay.
Now braces, we will take equal back to confused. Stuff quiet, you're feeling refreshed, come back and I'll see you in the next script.
Query selector, let's
When we
go.
want to select some elements using JavaScript, we've got a couple of options. We know we can get an element by its ID, or we can get several elements by their class name. Now, when it comes to a group of radio buttons like we've got here, how can we identify which one is clicked? Well, that is just about possible to do with getElementById, but it's tricky and convoluted, and it's going to involve messing around with the code quite a lot more, and there is a much better way. I want to introduce you to Query Selector, which is a more powerful way of grabbing elements. So in this Tricky Choices app, we have got these two choices and a submit button, and I've set up an event listener on the submit button. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set up a new const, and I'm going to call this checked radio, and that's just going to hold the radio item that has been checked. So I'm going to set that equals to document.querySelector, and then we just need to tell Query Selector what it is we're looking for, very similar to getElementById. However, Query Selector is a bit more powerful because it allows us to include pseudo elements in our search. So instead of focusing on an ID, let's focus on an element that has an input type of radio. So in here, I'm just going to search for input, and then we open up these square brackets and we say type equals radio. And let's just close the mini browser because the code is getting quite long. So what this is doing then is searching through our code, and instead of looking for a particular ID or class name, it's looking for elements that have an input type of radio. Now, if we look at the HTML, we're going to find that we've got a type of radio here and a type of radio here. So we definitely have two of those. But what we're actually looking for is the one that has been checked. And we can do that by using the pseudo selector. So we use the colon, and then we just need to add checked. Okay, let's just log that out and see what we get. So I'll hit save, and then I'm going to select 5 duck-sized horses, click submit, and down in the console, we are getting the input type radio, the ID of horses, and the value of horses. Let's just try with the duck, and hopefully we'll see a different one. And there we are. Now we see the other one. So if we want to just get the value of that radio, all we need to do here is include dot value. Let's hit save, 5 duck-sized horses. There we are, we get horses, 1 horse-sized duck, we get ducks. Let's refresh and not click anything. We actually get an error because at the moment it can't find anything with the type of radio that has been checked. That's absolutely fine because in an app we would deal with checking that there is at least one element with that value before we try to do anything with it. Okay, so here is a challenge for you, and this is just a muscle memory challenge. I want you to log out the value of the checked radio option, which is exactly what we've just done, but I'm going to delete all of this. So all you have to do is go ahead and write it out again from memory, just a bit of practice, build up the muscle memory, and get into the habit of using Query Selector. So pause now, have a go at that. If you need to rewind to check the syntax,
I got this. Const checked radio equals document get query selector. He said we need to do input, make this type of thingy, and then put in, oh, I think type equals radio checked. Is it not how it's supposed to be? Yeah, it is. Okay, maybe I need to use these steps so I don't get confused. Yeah. So console.log checked radio. Close your log and the whole element of the log, just its value. What? Dot value? Let's go.
I'm going to select file, check, input, log out that. Here we are. It is working. Okay, that is, so let's just put value on the end. And now I'll select the 5 duck-sized horses and the 1 horse-sized duck. And there we are. It is working. Okay, that is going to be a really useful skill. Now we've got all of these options set out, we need to hook up this get image button that we've got down here at the bottom. So our next goal is to get an array of cats that match the emotion the user selected. But that is quite a big task, so we're going to break it down into smaller chunks. And our first target is going to be to log out the ID of the radio that was selected when the get image button was clicked into small. Next goal is to get an array of cats that match the emotion the user selected. But that is quite a big task, so we're going to break it down into smaller chunks. And our first target is going to be to log out the ID of the radio that was selected when the get image button was clicked. So here's our challenge. I want you to set up an event listener which calls a new function called getMatchingCatsArray when the get image button is clicked. GetMatchingCatsArray should save the value of the checked radio input to a const and log out that const. Now you'll notice there that we're following the same pattern that we've already started. Our event listeners are not going to have anonymous inline functions. They've got named functions, and we'll actually write those functions underneath. So we're separating them out. And we're doing that just because that is going to keep our code a little bit more readable. Okay, pause now, get this challenge sorted. If you can't remember how to get the ID of a clicked option or how to get its value, feel free to go back and check previous scrims, but do make sure you do the challenge yourself. Don't cut and paste. And when you've got it working, I'll see you back here in a few minutes and we'll have a look together.
All right, set up an investment listener which calls a new function called get matching cats array when the get image button is clicked. Okay. I hope it's saved up there. Okay, no, it's not. They gotta do const. Oh no. I'm not gonna do that thing. Const get image equal document get element. I want to do this in VS Code. So what I'm going to do is actually open my Alacrity. All right. Got that going. All right. My element bro element documents element.id. Gotta get the HTML element. All right. So get image dot add new click. Get matching category. Get should say the value of the checked radio input on balance input should say so. For this I'm thinking, how do we get the radio status? Query selector. Okay, so how do you set up okay, const radio equals document dot query selector radio input radio so that's radio result equals okay. And I say radio should add up or equal to radio result. Console.log video result to a const. Here's a syntax issue. You're getting my function has syntax issues and isn't capturing the selected radio's value. What's up, stream? What's up, chat? So, what? Yeah. All right. It says guide. Oh, it's the syntax. Those I want. Oh. It looks like you've run into a classic selector hurdle. According to the feedback in your image, the issue is twofold. Your CSX selector syntax is slightly wrong and you're trying to use a concept before it's properly assigned. Here's how to fix the getting match array function to meet the challenge requirements. Function. Oh, that's what I did? Oh my. Video. Use check to find the one that with this. I would have never seen that. Check if something was actually selected before logging to. No, nothing. I don't want to check. Let's see if it's gonna accept it even before I check. The function has a syntax issue and isn't storing the selected value correctly. Try assigning the radio values possible. Let's try assigning the value correctly. Try assigning the radio's value to a constant. The radio's value. What's up? What's up? If you're in the chat, let me get a hello. Let me get a hi. What? Brother. That's crazy.
Let's
I haven't won.
So 0.4 equals
You guys are
radio.
new.
And what's more, we're only interested in radio inputs that have been checked, so we can use the pseudo selector with the colon and just put checked right here. Now we're not quite done, so having actually identified that radio input that's checked, we want to get its value. So we can just chain. I will click on happy and be good. Read properties of null, read.
But I thought it said get matching array should save the value of the checked certain constant. Oh, okay, then say make a new constant reassign.
From that, not to worry.
That makes sense.
We've got a problem, which is that if we click the Get Image button when no option has been selected, we get an error. And that's pretty bad for user experience. So your challenge is to sort that out. I want you to add code to getMatchingCatsArray, this function we're in right here, so that these two existing lines of code only run if an emotion has been selected. If no emotion has been selected, these lines of code should not run. Now, as this is a little bit tricky, I've given you some help. Try to do this on your own first, but if you get stuck, click this link and it's going to open a help file with a couple of hints that should really help you along the way. Okay, pause now, get that challenge sorted out, and I'll see you back here in just a minute.
Oh, we're close to filter. That's good. Almost done.
Okay, so hopefully you got that
Hey,
sorted
brother,
out.
I didn't solve this. You were close to filter, and then we'll be almost done. We're basically done. Now I'm gonna be building a Twitter phone. It's gonna be good. Mini projects. Ooh, math method. I think after this, bro, like, I feel like I'll be a demon at JavaScript. That's if I'm applying these. If I'm not, then no. Might be cooked. I might be cooked. I can't remember this one though. Restaurant ordering at Scabby Fire. Okay. They're saying, hold on, let's do this. I don't know why there's normally so much space at the bottom. Add code to get matching categories so that the two existing lines of code only run if an emotion has been selected. Add code to get to. So how do we know if it's been selected? How to check if a radio input has been selected. Okay, so if dot check is the same thing, okay. So if inputs, what the inputs, oops, type radio check. Okay, maybe not this. Oh, maybe not that. Maybe. Okay, so this might be it. Let's confirm that. Your if statement isn't anything. Try testing if document.core selected. returns a trophy element for returning its value. You know that. Oh wait. Yes!
Fine.
Oh. Sometimes you don't need AI.
Okay, so hopefully you got that sorted out just fine. So the big clue in this challenge is actually the word if, because we can do this using an if. Right here, selected. The interest for us, an input would hit say thing from the checked radio input. So we have completed these radio inputs. But notice that down here, we've also got this animated GIFs only option, and this is a checkbox. Now, you haven't really learned about checkboxes, so let's take a moment away from this app and we'll look at them in the next scrim.
Can I close my AI assistant after I said I don't need AI, bro? Am I really serious like that? Brother. Gemini brother.
Radio buttons are great for giving a user
Hold on. By the way, we're gonna start the stream at 7. Might do a second stream. Might do a second stream. Low-key, we could just to finish this so we can get started on top. Yeah, we could if we don't finish this right now. Good.
a choice of options. But what if you just want to get a Boolean response from them? Tick this box for yes, don't tick it for no. Well, we can do that with checkboxes. They allow us to get a straightforward true or false from our user. Now, right here in this app, I've got some really long...
And this makes me think, now that I'm on CachyOS with KDE, do you guys think I can run like 1080p? Because I think we can. I know we're running 720, we might be able to run 1080 with 25% CPU usage. Bro, we're green. 60 FPS constant, bro. We're not even dropping a little bit. I don't know. It's feeling really hopeful. So I think we can. We'll give it a try tonight. So.
Terms and conditions with a little Easter egg at the end if you want to go looking for it. Now, when the user clicks this continue button, I want to know if they have agreed to these terms and conditions or not. So here in index.html, we've got all of the terms and conditions up here, and I'm just going to stick a checkbox right in here. We do that, of course, with an input, and this one has a type of checkbox. And all I'm going to add here is an ID, so I'm just going to call this one accept terms. Now, I do also need to give this one a label, so I'll come up here and I'll say label 4, and I'm going to link it into this ID, of course. And of course, we need to close the label tag. And I just want this label to read, I accept these terms and conditions. If we just move the mini browser out of the way, we've got everything we need there. I might just tidy up the formatting a little bit. Okay, let's hit save again. And there we are. We can see I accept these terms and conditions, and we've got a checkbox that we can put a tick in. Okay, over in index.js then, I've already taken control of this continue button. Now I want to take control of this checkbox. So the checkbox has an ID of accept terms. So I will come in here and I'm just going to camel case that one. Now inside this event listener, so when this button is clicked, let's just log out what we get from accept terms. So I'll hit save, I'm going to click in here and hit continue. And what we see down in the console is just the entire element, the checkbox we've just created. So what we actually want to access here is its checked property. So let's just try that again. I'm going to hit continue and we get false, and that's because this checkbox is empty. Let's put a click in it and there we are. Now it's returning true. So it's just giving us a straightforward true or false. And what we might do then is come in here with an if else. And so if I say if the accept terms is true, then we might log something out. And if it's false, we might log something else out. And this first console.log is just going to say terms accepted. And this second console.log is going to say terms refused. So let's give that a try. We get terms refused, put the check in, terms accepted. Okay, that is pretty cool. Now I'm going to write you a quick mini challenge. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to add a second checkbox to see if a user wants to be added to the mailing list. If they do, log out mail accepted when the continue button is clicked, and if they don't, log out mail not accepted. And over in index.html, I've put a little prompt here. This is where you can create the second checkbox. So pause now, have a go at that. Don't be tempted just to cut and paste. I do that sometimes, it's lazy. What I want you to do is write this out by hand, get into practice, get that muscle memory going. And when you've got it working, I'll see you back here. Not accepted. And over in index.html, I've put a little prompt here. This is where you can create the second checkbox. So pause now, have a go at that. Don't be tempted just to cut and paste. I do that sometimes, it's lazy. What I want you to do is write this out by hand, get into practice, get that muscle memory going. And when you've got it working, I'll see you back here in just a moment.
Okay. Add a second checkbox, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. Label 4. What was the label for? Mail, right? Okay, mail terms.